Well, hello there. Were you able to hear
Oh,
that, Commander
yes,
Anu?
yeah, I can, thank you.
Good. Yeah, was everybody hear that intro? It went muted on me for some reason, but anyway. Okay. I guess is that affirmative? You heard the intro music, Anu?
I certainly did.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to make sure everything's working here today, and I got my headset in, so there shouldn't be echo. By the way, my name is James Rink. For people who are not aware, or just seem to stop in here on this channel of Super Soldier Talk, and we feature people that were experiencers in the secret space program. Sometimes we also go into milabs and K Ultra, and sometimes alien abduction, as long as it kind of goes into other topics as well. But Commander Anu is certainly fits probably all these categories. So it's an amazing presentation here today. So Commander Anu found herself on a spaceship over Lhasa, Tibet, and was informed that she has been chosen as president of the Galactic Federation Council Political Side, which has 13 members. Since September 2019, she has become a citizen and colonel in the new German secret space program, where she's the first ever public relations and social media officer. Later, she became the designer of the Kalanx Hanabu UFO and the architect of the three University of Atlantis campuses at the South Pole, North Pole, and on the Silver Moon in the Andromedan Galaxy. She is a member of Project Midnight in the Andromedan Galaxy, so you're going to explain about this later. She's also a minor member of the time travel research team sent on missions to investigate time slips, alleged time machines, ley lines, and pyramid power. 2 years ago, she volunteered to be a super soldier, so now she's a colonel who has been fast tracked to general but has been turned down until next year after requesting more training. Her super soldier training, excuse me, did not involve being cloned or having alters, as far as she knows. The project was over 6 months ago, was to adjust to brainwaves so that little sleep was needed. Her friends were wondering what was going on with her because she used to go to bed between 9 and 10:30, even on weekends. Now she's getting up at 2, 3, 4 a.m., posting on social media and saying, by the way, thank you for actually posting late at night. So I appreciate staying up for us so we get the schedule here. Posting on social media and saying that, weather permitting, she was doing gardening between midnight and 2 a.m. Last month, she's back on the Super Soldier program officially, even though it was never really stopped due to ongoing insomnia. Her main office is in the Antarctic Base 211, New Schwabenland, where she has a desk and chair in the library as requested. Her secretary is Peyton Cottrell II, who writes and publishes books about our work on Earth, the Moon, Mars, and the Andromedan Galaxy. Welcome to the show, Commander Anu. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great today. So that's quite an extensive bio there. Um, is there anything else you want to add to that?
Just to say it's a Clanax Hanabu UFO, and I'm also the inventor of Clanax. So if you'd like me to explain what it is, it's steel on the inside and white plastic on the outside. And you might think, well, why on earth would you want to invent and design a white UFO? Because, normally they're silver or black. That doesn't show up as much as white would in a night sky. So the reason I decided to design and invent white UFOs. It's because I was inspired by the white tiles on the space shuttle. And also I had a dream one night where a white UFO, a saucer-shaped one, landed in a field. I was in this field in England with my friend John, and John is someone who really exists and is an actual friend of mine. So it landed in the field, and then a ramp came down, and some small graves came out, and they kidnapped, my friend, and then took him away. Then the ramp closed, and it just flew off. So, that dream made a really big impression on me. Even though it was a dream, I think it was meant to be more than that, to actually make me think of inventing and designing white Hanabus. And also, they're different from our original silver color ones because they don't use element 115, also known as red mercury. Because these days people want to be more ecological, including myself. So I designed it to actually be piloted using telepathy and hand pads by the small greys. So the small greys are our pilots, and there's 6 of them on the bridge. So they're hooked up, to these wires, and they've got their hands, on the hand pad, and they power it, using their mind, and it, works really well. So we can actually go from Earth to the Andromeda galaxy, via wormholes in between 12 and 14 hours. So, we're really delighted with the way it's worked out. And our 7 UFO factories used to be at Antarctica Base 211, but I personally moved them out myself into the Andromeda Galaxy. So now they're located along with the Andromeda Gerat, which really looks very much like it did during World War II, on the planets that we call Planet Militaria and Planet Sam. Although the Andromedans probably call them different names, but they don't really mind us using, the names that we use. So, basically, we've got their permission to occupy the part of their galaxy, and we're peaceful. We'll just let them get on with their life, and we get on with ours, and it works really well. So we appreciate their hospitality towards us.
Wow. Okay. Here's a question. So, did you move the skunk works out of Antarctica because of all the spying by the cabal here on planet Earth? What do you think of that one?
Well, there was actually 2 reasons. One reason is because we've got a Cold War with China, and we knew in advance that they would actually go there. And, in fact, that they did. Because the thing is, they already stole, one of our Hannibals on Mars, a few years ago. But luckily for us, it was like a really old model from World War II that was obsolete. We just had it parked outside our base, just ready for show. But of course, we still didn't want it stolen. So we certainly didn't want them getting their hands on our new technology. And another reason, we were getting problems with Americans who were trying to help us, even though we didn't actually want the help, trying to insist that we patent our UFOs with them, and they know various lawyers in America, and they can help us. And we just didn't want to know. We didn't really feel that we needed the help. But we do like Americans, and in fact, I don't know if you know, but we've got 2 bases in the United States. We've got base 2995 in Houston, Texas, and we've actually got another base in New York City. And we've called it Base Montauk, but it's not anything to do with the Montauk project, in Long Island. The reason we called ours Montauk was named after one of the local Native American tribes. But what we're actually doing there is that we heard that at one time there was a Viking base there, And because we're very much into runes and Viking and Norse and Germanic culture and history, like we always have been, we decided that we'd create a base in New York City. But we don't have any current plans to have any other bases in the United States. I mean, I
So,
can't say
can,
that we never will.
this base in New York City, is it actually cloaked and like another alternate reality? Where I mean, New York
Oh,
City.
no, it's underground, but it's actually in this timeline. It's not like you have to go through a portal into another, alternative reality. It's sort of kind of like Area 51. It's in this timeline, but it's underground.
Oh wow.
And it's like that also in our base 2995. And what we're doing there is that we heard that there were 3 pyramids underground that were either Atlantean or Pleiadian. So we wanted to build a base in order to have privacy, in order to study them. What's their history? What do they do? And also there's a Hopi, Native American cave there. And we wanted to study that too, because we've always been very fond of the Hopi tribe, because like us, they've also got a big interest in the Pleiadians, and also in the hidden meanings behind, like the swastika symbol.
Oh wow. So let's. Are you getting feedback? Is anybody else? Okay. So let's go into the base in New York. So you say you call it Montauk. Is it actually located underneath Montauk area at the tip of Long Island? It stretches
No,
into Manhattan. Okay.
no,
Okay.
it's not. It's actually under the city itself. Not far from Manhattan.
So have you actually been in that facility?
No, I haven't been there
Okay.
myself.
Okay. And so base. So what was the number of that base in New York?
Base 2995
Two
is
nine nine five.
is our base in Houston, Texas.
But the one in New York, is there a number on
No,
that
no,
one?
the one in New York we call Montauk.
Okay. So what is the purpose of the base in Houston? What are you what are you like
Oh, the
measuring?
one in Houston is the one to study those 3 pyramids underground, and also the Hopi cave, that's got like tribal wall carvings, inside.
Okay. Is there also a connection to Tartaria? Because looking back, remote viewers are seeing that prior to 1811 there was free energy in North America and basically a bunch of abandoned cities. So is that what do you think of all that in the Tartaria?
Well, free energy definitely exists, but we actually have our own energy, and we call it blue light energy, for the simple and logical reason that it's actually blue. And now, in case you're wondering how we discovered it, we first discovered it in Antarctica, because there's actually a YouTube video about this antenna that was found in the sea at Antarctica. So we're actually using it for ourselves. So, we call it blue light energy. So that is what we use for our, electricity supply. And also we use pyramid power as well. So, scattered around the base, we've got like on desks, for instance, and also like in our meditation hall, we've got these little pyramids. So we use that energy too. So,
Oh wow.
so
Is that
now we're
what's
using it.
Is that
Yes,
what's called vril? Vril?
yes, it is. Well, really, all energy is real because real is just another name for prana or chi or ki. So, in India they call it prana, and like in the Asians, like the Chinese and Japanese, call it chi, as in, like Tai Chi, or ki, like Qigong. So it's
All
really
right.
the same thing. It's just a different name. It's just a cultural difference for the same thing.
All right. So let's go over to Antarctica. So have you been down in base 211?
Yeah, yeah, that's actually where I've got an office. I'm not there at the moment. At the moment, I'm in London, in England. But I've got a desk in Antarctica Base 211. And that when I first got a job there, which was in September 2019, they said to me, do you have a preference, where you'd like to sit? And I said, would it be possible to sit in the library? And they said, yeah, that would be perfect for us, because, there's a spare desk and chair, like in the corner. Would you like that? So I went to see it, and then I loved it. So I saved on the inconvenience of them having to build an office for me. And also later on, I became the founder of our London base.
Oh wow. Well, let's go. Yeah, I'm interested in hearing about that too. But going back to Antarctica, how many people are down in base 211 now? Like, how built out is it? Do you know?
Well, it's certainly a couple of million people. Because
Because
I
in,
mean, some of our members, whom myself and Peyton call citizens, actually live in Agartha, just outside the base.
so an Admiral Byrd was going down to Antarctica and he saw the inhabitants from inner Earth. So
Yeah.
you confirmed that was actually there is a hole in the Antarctica where you can go down all
Yes,
that.
that's right. Yes. Yeah, our base is actually at one of the entrances to Agartha. I mean, there's several, all over the planet. But we've actually got some dealings with Inner Earth, Agartha as well, because we've actually built a cafe there, just outside of our base, and we've called it Hollow Earth Cafe. And also, I'm the architect of a university in Shambhala, and Shambhala's the capital of Agartha. And I called it the University of the Golden Pavilion for the reason, well, because it's golden colour, and also because I'm a practicing Buddhist. I'm interested in, Japan, and they've actually got a golden pavilion temple in Kyoto in Japan. So I modelled that university in Shambhala on the architecture of the temple in Kyoto in Japan. And also the actual university in Shambhala is also one for Buddhist practices, where the students are taught, meditation and yoga and, levitation, telepathy, telekinesis, etc.
Is this it here? That's what it looks like in inner
Yes,
Earth.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
So how did you actually get into inner Earth? Like, what did they? Are you from there, or do you take the train, underground train, or teleport?
Uh, I used, teleportation, like a lot of our other colleagues. I use portals and stargates. Although I'm not going to say that I've been to all of our bases, even ones that I'm very active in, uh, but I get to find out what's going on. It's because, we use telepathy and also we use remote viewing. So I can see what's happening without needing to go there, in person.
Oh wow! So can you confirm that's where Tartaria is based out of in Earth? Do you know about
Well,
this?
yeah, yeah. Well, from my understanding, that's correct.
Wow. And how extensive is the civilization down there? Like, I mean, how many millions of people? Or do you know?
Well, overall, our population, and we're talking about all our bases, but not the ones in alternative or parallel universes, just ones in this galaxy plus the Andromeda galaxy, are numbered at 8 million. But your friend Penny, Bradley, was correct in saying, because I actually saw her talking about it in a YouTube video, that a lot of Antarctica residents did leave because they were needed for the moon and they were needed for Mars as well.
And that's
But
when
I
they.
remember her also saying she wasn't sure if there was anyone left in Antarctica. So if she's watching this, hi Penny, nice to meet you. And thanks for taking an interest. And yeah, we are very much active. But you're right, what you said about a lot of us had to leave to help set up the moon base and the Mars base.
So basically, the base down there in Antarctica is not frozen. It's near the entrance of inner Earth, so there's probably palm trees down there. It's
Yeah,
warm and
it
tropical.
is warm. I mean, it's warm because of the thermal springs, the hot springs, and also the energy from Agartha, which is tropical, like rumored. And also because we've got our blue light energy that we use for electricity. So, we're not cold at all.
Okay, thank you. So, can you comment about Area 51? Because I was just at the
Yeah,
entrance
I
there.
do know. Even though I haven't been in person, I've remote reviewed it, and I don't know if you guys know, but you probably heard of Die Glocke, the bell, Hitler's time machine that disappeared in 1945 and then reappeared in America in, 20 years later. America has got it and it's locked away in a room in Area 51. I mean, we haven't asked for it back. I know we could have done, but the thing is, we just like to move on and create, new technology. So we're actually happy for Area 51 to look after it for us. I mean, it's not even costing us any money for America to look after it. And we trust them to keep it safe because, of course, they've got very high security there 24/7. And I know anyone who even goes near the base, gets threatened to be shot.
Wow. So there was nobody at the entrance. I don't think anyway. But yeah, it was up near Rachel, Nevada. But yeah, I was just wondering like who owns that land because it doesn't because even U.S. senators and presidents are not allowed to go on there. So it seems like it's some other quasi um, non-government institution that owns that. I was just wondering if the Germans own it. But if what do you
No,
think?
no, we don't own Area 51.
All right.
We respect the fact that it's part of the, United States secret space program. And just like we don't want them interfering with ours, we don't interfere with theirs.
Understood. Okay. So How about we, like, audience members, you want to? Anybody want to know about more about Antarctica? Otherwise, I guess we can move on here. Um, so, yeah, University of Atlantis campuses. So, tell us, what is the University of Atlantis?
Yes, I'm the right person to ask about that because I'm actually the architect of all three campuses. So the first campus we opened, and we were only going to open one, because we wanted to make sure that it'd be successful. So I designed it, and the actual university itself is shaped like a pyramid, and it's like a modern skyscraper that's glass and steel, except that this one is pyramid shaped, and it's got 7 floors. I mean, I know that doesn't sound very tall for a skyscraper. You're probably thinking, well, how can a skyscraper only have 7 floors? But they're really high ceilings. So that's where the actual classrooms are. And the teachers are humans, and also the tall greys. And even the headmaster is a tall grey. And then on the campus, we've got the accommodation block, like where the bedrooms are. And then we've got restaurants and bars for the students. So they pay their university fee. But these degree courses are different from elsewhere on the planet because they're only 1 year long, whereas other degree courses would be at least 3 years. So the students have to sign up for the whole year and agree to live on the campus where they're not allowed out. I mean, they're allowed to move around the campus, but not leave the campus. And this is also different because all their food and drink and their recreation is provided, in the fee, to be a student. So the actual cost for the year is equivalent to 1,000 US dollars. So really, it's quite cheap. But the thing is, people have got to be psychologically strong to be, locked away in the campus, like in the middle of nowhere for a whole year. But I mean, at least it's not solitary confinement because, they're with the other students. So anyway, I got it built, and then we got all the students, and then we opened, and it's been a huge success. So then we decided to build a copy of it at the North Pole. So we did that, and then we opened it a year later. And also we built the third campus in the Andromeda Galaxy on Silver Moon. And the reason it's called Silver Moon is because it's actually a silver colour. But the design of that one is different because it's more in appearance of like a Mexican pyramid, because it's not got a pointy top, like an Egyptian one. It's got a flat top. But regarding the refreshments, so anyway, we've got an Eisenhower burger bar that's named after President Eisenhower, who we're an admirer of. And we've got a Bavarian Alps German restaurant, that's got, German food in, similar to the food they have in restaurants in Germany and Europe. And then we've got the Prost bar, and Prost is a German word meaning cheers. So,
Oh,
we were actually inspired. Do you remember that TV show, the American one called Cheers?
yes.
So, we were thinking of that, and then, we didn't want to call it the Cheers Bar because obviously that's in English. name. So we thought, well, Prost is the German word for cheers. So Prosper seems a nice name. And then recently we've done an add-on. But just at one campus in Antarctica, we've also, because it's fashionable these days, and because I was at the time, I personally was experimenting with a vegan diet, even though I only did it for 5 months. I thought, oh, I wonder if we should have a vegan restaurant too. So I put it forward. And I didn't hear anything. And then suddenly, my secretary, Peyton, he contacted me one day, so because he hears things in telepathy. He says, "Hey, what's this I hear about some quirky restaurant that we've got at University of Atlantis South Pole?" And I said, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, it was my idea. It is quirky in the grand scheme of things because it's a vegan restaurant. And he was saying, "Oh, awesome! Have you got a name for it yet?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah. I'm calling it Yasmina Restaurant, and obviously it's named after me." So he said, "Oh, can I mention it in our next book?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Because, a lot of information he collects off of me and other people is because he writes and publish books about our work.
Wow.
And
So
he also asked me things to check with me if it's correct. Because, sometimes when you get a message in telepathy, uh, it's not always correct because you've got your enemy, trying to mess with your mind.
so how many people attend the university? I guess maybe the South Pole and the North Pole.
It's got enough room for 1,000 students in all our campuses.
Okay, and the one in the North Pole, because I'm guessing this is also near the entrance to Inner Earth, the hole up there in the
Yeah,
North
yeah,
Pole.
yeah, yeah. That's
Okay,
right. Yes.
so I believe that hole is actually just northwest of Greenland, up there in the Antarctic Sea. Is that correct?
Yes, it
Am
is
I okay?
correct.
So isn't that hole like the all covered by ocean? Like an ocean goes in there, or is there land mass in there too?
Well, that is a challenge that I realised before we went ahead with it. Because unlike Antarctica, that's solid ground, this happens to have a lot of ice on top. The North Pole isn't a solid landmass. So we had to then build on ice. So we realised that that was a risk because, if the ice melts, then your university is going to, sink into the sea. So we're hoping that climate change, which is a reality, isn't going to be so bad that the ice in either pole or elsewhere is going to melt so quickly. So
So here's a
we're safe for now, anyway.
all right. So here's the northern part of Greenland. So it would be just north of that, in the middle of that map,
Y-
I think, right?
Yeah. So we've got it like as near to the actual North Pole as we can.
Okay. And if you go in those holes in the entrance, going down deeper, what will you actually see as you go in the holes in Earth?
Well, the North Pole is also one of the entrances to Agartha. And there, also on the Earth, there's other entrances too. But, we don't have any of our bases there. But, of course, we know where they are.
Oh wow. Okay. Let's see here. Audience members, anybody have? Oh, here's a good question from Ashton. He wants to know about the status of the U-boat converts. Do the U-boats use, and also do the U-boats use mercury propulsion? And do they have like a museum where they have these U-boats down there in Base 211? What do you know about
Well,
that?
I have got something to tell you about U-boats, and I was hoping that someone or you would ask me. We don't call them U-boats anymore because we regard that as being Second World War. And because now, the Second World War is over and we're in this period, we wanted a new name for them. So I actually chose the name myself, and now we call them X-boats. And the new range is actually double the size of the U-boats. But the bad news is that the technology isn't as good as it could be because we're using nuclear power to power them. And we know that with the technology we've got, that's kind of primitive. So we're actually asking people, including humans, even, like friends of ours who aren't even our members, who happen to be pretty knowledgeable, about engineering. What do you think that we should do? So, they've come up with things like hydrogen engines. So, we're still trying to figure that out.
I mean, certainly they would have access to super cavitation technology, right, where they can go Mach 1 underwater, perhaps, where they could create like a bubble, a portal around it using the advanced intergravitic technology on the submarine. What do you think on that? Or the X boats? Sorry.
Well, our experts really aren't really that different from any other submarines on the planet. I mean, they're not using like any portals or stargates or anything. They're just doing it the long way round, going through the sea from base to base.
Okay, but that would also mean the U.S. Navy, the Russians. So yeah, wouldn't they have knowledge of these X boats?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, we can actually be seen by other countries, but because we're peaceful, then they're not concerned about us.
As long as I guess you don't get too close to the American shoreline and show yourselves, like go down into the Hudson River and yeah, go let everybody see. I guess they would probably come up with a cover story to hide it, the knowledge of the
Well,
Germans on
we've
there.
actually got permission from United States to actually park, if that's the right word, in Houston, Texas.
Oh, so you can go underneath the continental shelf there.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
understand, well, it's our base. And our employees need to be able like to get to work like any other employees.
Hmm. Because initially, right after the war, it was very tense between the Americans and the Germans down there. Two and one. It almost led to a cobalt bomb being blown off and destroying everything. So I guess so. You're saying relations between the Americans and the Germans have improved dramatically since
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
1950s.
I do actually know about Operation Argos, and my colleague Peyton has just published a book about it.
I'm sorry. What was that project and what is that about?
Operation Argos, 1958, when America nuked Antarctica, and it was actually also an attempt to nuke Antarctica Base 211.
Wait. You're saying they actually did launch a nuclear attack?
Yeah, yeah, they did. But yeah,
Oh,
we got help, like we have done in the past from our ET friends. So they lost, just like they lost before with Operation High Jump.
so what about the nuclear fallout? Is there still evidence of fallout there, or did the ETs clean all that up?
No, it got cleaned up. Yeah, but there is actually an unexploded nuclear bomb belonging to America that they tried to use against us floating around the galaxy.
You talking about like the Space Navy, Solar Warden would have done that?
No, this is one belonging to the Operation Argos from 1958. So that they had 3 nuclear bombs.
Oh wow. Well,
So
because
one of them is unexploded floating around in space. So,
wow.
my colleague Peyton's been particularly worried about that. And I said to him, well, yeah, you're right. But at the same time, think about it. It was 1958 when it happened. We're now in 2023 and nothing's happened. And if it does go off, then because it will be in outer space, hopefully it won't be too near a moon or a planet to actually cause any damage, to any life. Because,
Okay.
outer space is full of radiation anyway.
I want to get your opinion on this because Jason Rice talked about this. That um, the Germans launched a. At that time, the Americans were testing all these nuclear weapons, and I guess the Soviets too. But the Americans and Soviets were working together. That was all kind of a ruse. They were trying to go. I mean, their enemy was the Germans down there. So um, the Germans got a hold, I guess, with the Heisenberg device. So they had access. They apparently the Germans on the Manhattan Project. I mean, the people on the Manhattan Project were paperclip Germans that managed to get the thing working. So, but this particular nuclear that took place in 1954 on the Bikini Atoll was the Germans launched this, and there was a naval vessel, U.S. naval vessel nearby, and it limped back to harbor. And they took video of this, and they gave it to all the world, mailed it to all the world leaders to let them know that the Germans mean business. Can you confirm that was actually a German one, nuclear weapon?
Yes,
If you have it.
it is true. Yes, because in Operation Paperclip, there were like over 1,000 German scientists that were employed by America, and like given new identities and given work and homes and that, because we had the technology that America needed. Yeah, and also, help in creating NASA and, getting to the moon, because it was embarrassing for America when Russia got into space with a Sputnik. So
Wow.
that's why America was saying to themselves, well, we're a superpower too. So, we can't, fall behind. Yet, we don't have enough technology for the space race, but the Germans do.
Oh wow. Okay. How about could we discuss if you feel comfortable discussing this, Adolf Hitler. So the rumors are he went to, what is it, took a U-boat down to maybe Paraguay, and then he supposedly lived out the rest of his lives in New Jersey. But what's your knowledge of him, Hitler?
Well, he did flee the bunker under Berlin, at the end of World War II, with his wife, Ava, and also their daughter. And first they went to Spain in Europe, and then they went on to South America, on to Paraguay, and then later on to Argentina, where he spent the rest of his life. But I don't know if anyone knows, but he died there alone. But the only person that was with him was the doctor, who was looking after him at the end. So, people would think, well, where on earth was his wife and where was his daughter? You know, why weren't they with him if he only had like days to live? But so, I wanted to know the answer to that too, because that just didn't add up. Considering how much they loved each other and how long they'd been together. So I found out that they'd got divorced a few years earlier. So that's the reason why his family weren't with him when he died. So he died from a heart attack. I can even give you the time at 3 in the afternoon. It's in February 1962.
Wow, because I've had people contact me and they said they have memories of Hitler on a as he's dressed up as an admiral on a dark fleet ship. So maybe they did clone him out. Anyway,
Well, I can actually tell you what happened. I mean, it is possible that there are clones of him, and I can actually tell you what happened when he died in Argentina in 1962, because when the material body dies, this applies to all of us. The soul leaves the body in what we know as a ghost. And even though it's unusual, someone can choose to remain a ghost and not move on to, the afterlife. So, and he decided that he didn't want to move on. And apparently that's allowed, even though it's unusual. Because when he was alive in Germany during World War II, he was promised that after he died, he would be able to live and work on Mars. So when he died, he remembered the request that he'd made. So as a ghost, he actually went to live on Mars, where he still is. And, we regard Mars as being our HQ. So he's living and working as a ghost at our HQ on Mars. And, he's a very sort of chilled guy, these days. And what he enjoys most is gardening. So our Mars HQ has got 5 glass domes, and there's one dome that he spends most of his time inside. And it's hydroponics, for our plants. So he spends his time tending to the gardens inside the hydroponics pod. And he won't let anyone else, near it. He says, no, 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 you can come in and have a look, but, this is my project.
so is it like in the astral realm? Like it looks all real to him? There's other ghosts around him.
No, because the other people who he works with at Mars HQ are, the Imperial Germans, ETs, and, also, the clones and alters. So he's the only one. And
And
he loves being a ghost because really he's got a form of immortality. And, he never gets ill, because when he was alive in a human body, he was ill a lot. He was seeing Dr. Morel like every day eventually. He was like giving him injections and pills and all sorts, and unfortunately turned him into a drug addict. So now he doesn't need any of that. And he doesn't even need to eat, even though he didn't always like food. Yeah, I know he was vegetarian for a while. Oh, speaking of food, when he went to live in Argentina, it was a surprise to everyone that he gave up his vegetarian diet. So he changed his lifestyle a lot. So, he stopped being a vegetarian. He'd drink alcohol sometimes. Well, only like socially. He'd even smoke sometimes, socially, which he didn't really approve of before. And he shaved off his moustache as well.
So, is the movie Boys from Brazil a documentary? Have you seen that one? You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that movie. Yes, yeah. Well, I'm not really sure because I don't have evidence that he has been cloned. Though at the same time, if someone says to me he was, I would say, "Oh, great! Uh, could you teach me more about that?"
So, can you comment on why the Germans in New Schwab Base 211 did not provide air support to Hitler and the SS during World War II? Because I mean, didn't they have the laser technologies installed on their Hanaboos near the end of the war? They could have changed the tides of the war. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, well, we could have done, but we just really wanted to concentrate just on the space science side of it, not the whole of the Third Reich. You, you know, um, just our alien and UFO, and rocket science. We didn't actually want to get involved with anything else.
So, is it because, and if you don't want to answer the question, that's fine. But is it because they thought the SS turned a little insane with, within putting? I'm not going to say. Now here comes the controversial question about the Holocaust and all that. But my views on it is that there was maybe 300,000 Jews in all of Europe, so there's no way 4 million of them could have been killed in, and that's Eisenhower rounded up the Germans after World War II, and those pictures that we see are 1.2 dead German soldiers that were killed by the Americans in those concentration camps. So, what's your thoughts on all that?
Well, I know that there's people who don't believe that the Holocaust existed. Well, they're wrong. I mean, it definitely did exist. And another reason why I know is because I'm happy to share it with you now, even though I hadn't mentioned it to you before this interview. I'm actually a reincarnation of Reinhard Heydrich, who was actually one of the main architects of the Holocaust, and I chaired the Wannsee conference, into the final solution. And I'm pleased to say that now I think that that was a big mistake. And I'm very sorry for what I did. And I'm very sorry for what we did. But, for
This
people
guy
who
here,
say,
was it this guy?
no, no, Reinhard Heydrich.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So definitely the Jews were put into concentration camps, and then can you comment on the crematoriums? Were they actually incinerating them, or were they delousing them?
Oh no, that they really were using Cyclone B gas, to poison them, to kill them.
Okay, so let's talk a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit.
that's it. Yeah, Reinhard Heydrich. Yeah, 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 that was me. So that's actually why I'm doing this work now, because then I wasn't involved with the space side. I was like police, intelligence service, Gestapo. But in this lifetime, I got really into sci-fi. And, I still am. I'm a really big Doctor Who fan in particular. And, there's other sci-fi that I like. So science fiction, got me interested also in science facts and also, like UFOs. And I was fortunate enough to actually see 3 UFOs flying over London. And I wasn't even looking for them. I was in the family house. And I'll tell you when it was. It was October 1980. I was in my bedroom on a Sunday doing what I did every Sunday, recording the top 40 on the radio onto a cassette player. And outside the window of my bedroom, I could hear what sounded like an aeroplane. So, I didn't take any notice because I'm not really that far, from airport. But it was going on too long. And I thought, what's going on? And I was thinking initially, oh my God, I think an aeroplane's going to crash onto my house. So, of course, I got up and looked out the window, and then I could see 3 UFOs. Because, I know some UFOs are silent, but these sounded like an aeroplane. And what it looked like was a big mothership, a saucer-shaped one, all lights underneath, like from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and two round metallic spears, that had a light coming out of them, like a beam. So I saw the three together, and I was thinking, damn, I don't have any film in my camera. Because it was before the days of, mobile phones. So, because we're talking about 1980, so it's not like I could get out my phone and take a picture. So I had just a normal camera that had film in, except because on that day it didn't have any film in it. And then, I saw it, the three of them fly over my house. And then 10 minutes later, they came back again. So they were circling the area. But I rushed downstairs and I said, Mum, Dad, there's 3 UFOs over the house. And they're going, yeah, 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 sure there is. And I was thinking, oh, all right then, you're lost. Don't believe me. I know what I saw. And then a few years later, I was gone out and I was at the bus station, waiting for a bus home. I bumped into a guy I know who I used to work with. And he's really into UFOs. And he was talking about that sighting because he lived at that time just 2 miles away from my house. And I said, yeah, I know. It was on a Sunday in October 1980. And he said, yeah, I saw it too. And they were circling the area. I'm not in contact with him anymore, which is a shame. He might not even be alive anymore because he's also an interesting guy, because once he got a visit to his house in London from the men in black.
Oh, okay. Wow, thank you for sharing that. So here we have a question. What are the blue balls of light that are showing up right now? Are they like a shooting star, or what do you think?
Well, if they're orbs, because I haven't personally seen any, but I've got friends and acquaintances that have. So I'm going to give you their opinion about what these orbs are. They say that they're actually fairies, because fairies often, when they're flying around, are in a light form rather than like a fairy that you see like with wings. So they look like little balls of light.
So are they coming in from like another dimension, another realm,
Well,
density?
fairies actually uh do live on Earth. And yeah, and like in movies and fictional books, they do love gardens and parks. So not everyone can see them. The only people that can see them are like with ghosts often, or people that have got a developed third eye.
Oh wow. Okay. So we can. Do you want? Should we change the topic? Go to something else.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Okay. We've got here some questions. Have you ever had interactions with Carl Immerman, also known by the SSP? Yeah, we can't say those names, but Sigmund or Johann Fritz as the old men. Old man. Can you comment about that? Is Sigmund still alive? Carl Immerman.
Well, no, personally, I don't know him. So sorry about that.
Okay. Can she comment on why some Darkfleet SSP were forced to be sexless? What do you know about that one? Androgynous SSP members.
Yeah, it's because on planet Earth regarding humans, I don't just mean German humans, I mean all humans on the planet now and also in the past since humans first existed. Oh, there are people that are nowadays called non-binary and who used to back in the day used to be called hermaphrodites. But that term is like old fashioned now, and they're called intersexed. So, intersex people are people who are born like that. So, it's not the same as being transgendered, although it comes under the transgender umbrella. So, they're not taking medication or having surgery to go like from a male body to a female body or female body to a male body. They're actually born with what's called characteristics of male and female because your gender or sex, whatever you want to call it, isn't just your genitalia or having like a womb or having, breasts. It's far more complex than that. It also depends on chromosomes, like XX, XY, and others, and hormones as well, like testosterone, estrogen, etc. So yeah, sometimes I get into conversations with humans on social media uh, who are unfortunately they're naive enough. Well, basically, because they're what they've been taught, and they haven't gone out of their way to research it themselves. And they don't believe that there are intersex people, but no one's certain how many intersex people there are. But there's an estimate that they make up 4% of the planet's human population. So that's why there is some research in secret space programs into non-binary.
So, have the modern day Germans out there, the space Germans, have they gotten over all their nuances about, I guess, transgender, homosexual, or even the Jews? Have they embraced that, or have they lost their racist philosophy? What's your opinion on that?
We're an improvement on what we were before. But if someone applies to join us, I'll be honest and I'll tell you what questions we ask them first. We say to them, "Are you German?" And they'll say the answer is yes or no. So if the answer is no, we say, "Are you of German descent?" So they say, "Well, can you be more specific, about what you mean about that?" And they said, "Well, I could have a DNA test and then get back to you and see if I've got any German DNA." And I said, "No, well, what we actually mean is, did you have one or more parents or one or more grandparents who was German?" So, of course, then they understand what I'm asking them. And then, of course, the answer would be either yes or no. So they're the first questions we ask. And then the next set of questions is, you know, why do you want to join us? And if their answer is, I'm unhappy because I don't get on with my family, you know, as in they don't get on with their parents or grandparents or cousins, uncles and aunts, or or I don't get on with my husband or wife, or I hate my job, or you know, I can't pay my bills because I'm on a low salary, or I'm unemployed and I can't get a job. We say, too bad, mates. You join us for our benefit, you know, not for yours. So they get turned down. We try and do it politely, but of course, some of them are going to get offended and never speak to us again. But, you know, we don't care. You know, we politely ask people questions because, you know, if you apply for any job, part of the interview, why do you want to join? I mean, it's a normal question. And then we ask them, what is your background? And so they say what it is. So we ask them about their academic qualifications, you know, at school, college, university. And then we also ask them, are they now or have they been a engineer? You know, we don't care which type of engineer, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, all of those are fine for us. Or, you know, have you ever been a scientist? Or have you been in the military? So a lot of people actually get turned down because they don't fit into any criteria. So that's how we do the interviews. But we did actually once employ a black guy in Africa. He actually contacted me a few years back to say to me, okay, I accept that I'm not German, but I think I'm going to be of interest to you. And I said, go ahead, tell me. And he said that I'm a behavioural psychologist and I've got a university degree in it. And I'm thinking, actually, I like that. So I went back to my colleagues and they said, well, okay, well, you know, give him a chance. So I got back to him. I said, I've got good news for you. You know, we're taking you on. So obviously he was really happy. But he said, where am I going to be based? And I said, well, because you're on like probation with us, you maybe you hoped that you'd be leaving Africa, but we want you in Africa for now and just, you know, see how it goes. You know, you can obviously still contact me on social media. You know, you've got my contact details. So he did a bit of work for us. But unfortunately, he wasn't up to the job. And we sacked him after only a month because he had no idea how hard we actually work. So I politely told him that he sat and gave him the reason, and he understood. So in a month, he only did 1 day's work in a whole month. And you just can't do that. I mean, I'm on call 24/7. And you know, and a lot of nights I don't even get any sleep at all. You know, I'm working on Christmas Day and on my birthday and New Year's Day. You know, basically I'm working around the clock day in, day night. So, you know, if someone thinks they can only do 1 day's work, and we tried out another guy, a white guy living in South Africa, who said that he was a researcher and he knew a lot about Atlantis and Lemuria and Mu and all these other places. And I thought, would give him a go as well. But he only lasted for 3 weeks. So, he actually had to admit that he couldn't carry on. But, we thanked him for what he'd done so far. So, when we take people on that are not normally the sort of people we take on because they sound interesting and they know that they're not going to get paid, then, sometimes it will work and then sometimes it won't. But even the small work that they've done for us, we're still polite in saying, well, thank you very much.
So how can we apply to work for the Germans or the university? Not that I'm saying that I would want to, but maybe someone here and listening, I want maybe or maybe not. So yeah.
Well, recently, people have been applying to me, and I interview them, giving them the questions that I've just, said to you in this interview. But once they're accepted as a citizen, then they can actually apply to be a student at the university, depending on if they can afford the university fee, pay the $1,000 up front, and be willing to spend the whole year living at the campus where they're not even allowed to contact their friends and family. That is not exactly solitary confinement because they're not like locked in a room on their own. They can chat and study with the other students and and the teacher, and they have recreation on the campus too. Like games, and there's also a recreation park where there's like a skateboard park, and they can do like roller blade skating as well. So they can have fun. And then they can borrow books. There's like a little library. It's not a big library like our library at Antarctica Base 211.
Uh,
So it's not as
is
bad as it sounds.
is the language mandatory German? It's mandatory speaking in German.
No. So our citizens speak German, as in the German that we've always spoken, like when we were in Germany and Europe. So that form of German hasn't changed. But there's also a dialect, like Swabia, that's, similar to German and Europe, except that it's just like a different dialect.
Oh wow.
Um,
Okay.
and also, we use English a lot these days.
Do they do a 20 year? I guess it would be 1 year and back, where you serve for a year and they immediately bring you back moments after they take you, kind of thing.
No, no, no. I think you're referring to age regression. No, no, we're not doing anything like that. And basically, we make up for that by actually having an indefinite contract. So, I've signed up. So I started, as you know, doing this 2019. And my contract, providing I'm still doing as well as I am now, is for life. And even when I die and leave this body, I wouldn't be surprised if they still got me working for them, after that.
Wow, because I had an aspect of me that was German. His name was Malcolm, and he went into
Yeah.
the I guess it would have been whatever the German version of the Air Force was, and he couldn't read or he write, and so he signed his contract in blood, and then he was sent off to Antarctica, and then eventually onto Mars and converted into a cyborg. So that particular aspect wasn't so rosy, but hopefully they're not. Hopefully these are better career trajectories everyone's going to be treated appropriately and respectfully once they graduate from the academy. So.
Yeah, no, it's not like it would have been during World War II, because in those days, if someone performed badly, they would get beaten and they might even have got shot. So now we just sack somebody and just say, well, thanks for what you've done for us so far, but this isn't working out, and good luck for the future in whatever else you decide to do. So we're not killing anyone or beating them up.
Okay, here's from Ashton. He wants to know: did you ever see Otto Skorensky in Base 2-in-1? He's sometimes referred to as Gonzalez. He's Hitler's bodyguard.
Uh, no, I did see him. Yes, yeah, a long time ago, but yeah, not recently.
Okay, Ashton, you want to follow up on that? All right. Is there a high command? Is the German high command for or against disclosure on this planet?
Well, we're for it. So that's why I'm actually doing this interview now. Is because I asked when I first joined. I said, well, I know this is unusual, but would it be okay if I was our first ever public relations and social media officer? And it got accepted. So that automatically meant that members of the public could, come to me to ask questions about our work. And, if I couldn't reply because it's too classified, then I'll just say, well, sorry, I can't answer that because it's classified. But anything that I could answer, I did. So, I started groups on Facebook, talking about our work, and also on the Telegram app. And also my colleague Peyton is doing disclosure on our behalf because he writes books and he publishes them and sells them on Amazon.
Wow. Can you help people get their records if they were in the SSP?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are records stored in Antarctica and also on the moon and on Mars. But, most of the records are on our Mars base.
So that's affirmative. You can help people if they ask you.
Well, it's not actually my decision because I don't work on that. I mostly, or apart from doing this PR work, I'm mostly on the art side because I'm not a scientist and, I don't pretend to be. Because you might think, well, how on earth can you design a UFO and then say you're not a scientist? And I can answer that. I design a UFO because I'm good at art. I've actually got a diploma in art. So I designed the appearance of it, and the real scientists and engineers made it, from what the description I gave. And also, I designed our 3 university campuses. And also, I'm not a civil engineer, but again, it's art because I designed the appearance, like the university building with the classrooms looking like a pyramid and designing what the recreation park's going to look like and the restaurants, and the bar. So I'm on the art side. The only time I'm not on the art side is because I've got small dealings as well with the time travel research team when I've been on submissions, and also that I'm involved with our telepathy and remote viewing project, that's based in the Andromeda Galaxy, even though I'm not personally based in the Andromeda Galaxy, called Project Midnight.
Wow, I have so many questions. How about we go back and let's start with your PR aspect. So, what is it, what are your job or duties as a PR officer?
It's answering questions from the public. So I get asked questions really from all over the world. So, like Americans in particular, and British people, Europeans. I've got a lot of fans who some have become my friends too in India and Africa. So they're the main places where people contact me. Oh, and a few like in the Middle East. So I post details about our work in the groups I've got on social media, and then sometimes people also private message me because they might be a bit shy about asking a question in a group, or they might just want to talk to me, privately if they want to work for us. So they're not going to do that in a group. So
So,
really, yeah, it's like a 24/7 job. I'm on call like day and night every single day.
so do you have any information on when the Germans are going to show themselves to the public? Like, so it becomes self-evident, everybody knows.
Well, we already have because it's through me doing podcasts and running the social media group. It's from Peyton, who writes and publishes books about us, and it's when people see our Planex Hannibal UFOs, so they can see that it's something different. But the fact that they're white and they glow white, and yeah, they're particularly been seen in Central America, South America, and North America. Well, once I know they were seen in the UK because I heard that someone living on the coast in Southampton had seen one.
Uh, Ruben is asking, does the university have an online course? Is there a website where we
No,
can go? Okay.
no, because the reason is because the courses have to be done in person.
Okay. Understood. So why don't you tell us some more about Project Midnight?
Yeah, well, it's because a lot of our activities are in the Andromeda Galaxy. It was actually myself and my colleague Peyton who had a conversation. Well, why don't we actually have a project to help our members improve on their telepathy and remote viewing because we're in so many locations, it's useful to be able to see what's going on in our other bases without actually having to go there. So that's where remote viewing comes into it. And we communicate with each other when we're not meeting, in person through telepathy for the same reason, because we're in so many different locations.
Okay.
So we know that, of course, like with anything else in life, some people are better at some things than others. So we want our members to all be, very good and really excel at these skills. So that's why we came into the idea of actually making it into a training program. And I actually chose the name Project Midnight for the reason being is that when I was awake, I can actually tell you when it was. It was in February 2022. It was at midnight and I was awake and I was on my phone on the Telegram app in a group, having chatting in a group to do with UFOs and aliens. And there was a guy online in England, and then there was another guy online, and the other guy was asking me lots of questions, and I was happy to reply. But then he started getting nasty. So this guy in England, he stuck up for me. And this conversation between the three of us actually went on for 2 hours. So it started at midnight and went on till 2 in the morning. And then that other guy, who got nasty ended up blocking me. And I'm thinking, oh, well, thank goodness for that. But the guy who defended me ended up being a friend of mine. And he's still a good friend of mine now. And, we chat regularly. And at some point, I'm going to actually go and visit him and stay at his house. So Project Midnight was actually named in his honor that I met him that day or night at midnight, and he's still a good friend of mine now.
Oh wow, thank you. So why are the Andromedans involved with the Germans? What's the connection with the two groups?
Well, we asked them if we could set up our bases there because, we've always been very ambitious. So our opinion was, okay, well, first we've got to test and perfect it on Earth. So we did that, and it worked. And then we thought, let's go to the moon. So we did. As we set up our base there, we moved in 1942, where we still are, and that was a roaring success. And then we thought, where are we going to go next? And we thought, let's go to Mars, because Mars would be good because it's not that far and it's a solid planet. It's not a gas planet, because there'd be a lot of challenges, moving into a gas planet, even though it can actually be done, because we believe that gas planets aren't gas all the way through. It's gas like for a few miles on the outside, but it's actually solid, beneath that. But, we don't really at the moment feel comfortable with that. So we thought, well, anyway, well, let's try Mars. So we moved to Mars in, I believe, around 1954, and that worked out as well. So we've got ourselves like comfortable at all these locations, and then we're thinking to ourselves, where are we going to go next? So we decided that we were interested in Jupiter. And also, so we've been studying it, but we've also been studying Saturn. So we built a observatory. So it's not actually a base as such. It's an observatory on Titan Moon. It's, so we could study more into ringed planets, because we've heard about all these awful things that the rings are disappearing, from the planets in the Milky Way. And, we want, like everyone else, wants to know, why is this happening? And another reason why we're interested in Titan Moon is because it's got some rare crystals on it. So we thought, well, while we're on it, we're looking through our telescope, we can do a bit of mining as well and collect some of these crystals for us and see what's so rare about them, and if we can use them in any way for real energy, or if we can use them to improve our telepathy, or remote viewing. Like, say for instance, if you hold one of these crystals, what effect does it have, on the physical body and also on your astral body or on your soul? Does it cleanse, your chakras? Does it help you remote view, or does it improve your telepathy? Can you hold one of these crystals and then levitate, in the air? So, of course, these were the sorts of questions that we had. So that was our interest in
Oh,
entitlement. And then, of course, we were thinking, right, done it, seen it, bought the t-shirt. Where are we going to go next? So we're thinking, okay, where is near to the Milky Way? So we thought, oh, it's far, but in the grand scheme of things, because there's like millions, or we don't even know how many galaxies, universes, whatever you want to call them, there are. But we've heard of the Andromeda Galaxy. We've heard of the Andromedan, ETs. It'd be cool to build bases there. So we approached the Andromedan Council, who are basically the government of Andromeda, and we asked them if we could move in. And we made a guarantee that we wouldn't be any trouble at all. That we wouldn't make war on them, we wouldn't harm them in any way, they wouldn't become our slaves or anything like that. So they said, well, okay, let's give it a go. But of course, if you don't stick to your word, then you're out of here. And we said, fine. So we moved in, and then we moved our UFO factories there, and we built our University of Atlantis Eastern Campus, we call it, on Silver Moon. And we allowed them also to sign up for the university. Oh, and also, while I remember, we actually had a relationship with them anyway during World War II, like the Andromeda Gerad. Why do you think it's called that? It's called that after the Andromeda Galaxy. So we were already building an Andromeda Gerad in the Andromeda Galaxy anyway.
so the Hanabus could travel all the way to the Andromeda Galaxy back in the
Yeah.
1940s, as early as the 40s.
Well, what they were doing in the late 30s and 40s is they'd actually be transported in a Andromeda Gerad inside, because people look at it like humans and say, oh, I saw a UFO. It was silver cigar shapes, and maybe it was an Andromeda. And if I ever see anyone posting that on social media, I reply, well, saying, actually, yeah, okay, it's an Andromeda. It is German, but it's not a UFO. It's a UFO carrier that actually transports Hannibal UFOs from the Andromeda Galaxy to Earth or to Mars or to like the moon or somewhere else. And we've actually had an idea recently. Why only transport Hannibal UFOs? Why not transport X-boats as well? Because obviously X-boats are submarines, so they can't fly through the air or go into outer space. They travel through water, through the sea. So actually that was my idea. Let's also have some Andromedas to transport our not just our UFOs, but also our X-boats. because we've got some expo factories, on planet Militaria and and planet Sam in the Andromeda Galaxy. So of course we've got to get the expo there in order to get it repaired, and then when it has been repaired, to transport it back again to wherever it needs to go. So that's actually worked out well. But unlike our Hanabu UFOs, we decided we're going to keep them as silver color cigar shapes, because I could have easily thought, well, this is the modern age. Why don't we make those white as well? Why don't we also make them Clanax? But I thought, no, we're not going to change everything, because I might as well have said, why don't we make our expos Clanax and make them? Why not just make everything out of white Clanax? But I thought, no, that's going too far, because some things we're going to keep traditional, but just like change the name from, like, for instance, from Expo to no longer have to call it a U-boat, just call it an Expo. Peyton said to me, in a few years, are there going to be another version, a updated version of the Expo? And I said, yes, well, not yet, not for a number of years. And he said, have you any idea what they're going to be called? He said, oh, I'm curious. And I said, yes, yeah, I do know what they're going to be called. He said, go on, tell. I said, they're going to be called Z-boats. He said, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm pleased he didn't ask me a few years after that, what are they then going to be called? Because, I mean, if I don't mind if he had asked me, but he didn't. Then if he had, I would have said, well, good question. I'm really pleased you're thinking far into the future. But, we haven't decided that yet.
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions. So, wow, let's go back to the 1940s. Before 1942, according to Jason Rice, there was a treaty between the Germans and the Draco to get access to 100 acres of land on the moon, because all land on the moon is already claimed by other species. So the nature of this treaty with the Draco basically dictated that humanity on planet Earth, with their technology, be suppressed. That's why free energy inventors were all started to be eliminated after this treaty. I think it was in 39 when this was signed. So and the Draco would also dictate that the 100, I think it was like 100 women, or the best looking German women were being the Draco wanted these women, and I can only imagine they were being tortured. So do you have any information about this treaty? And if so, what is the nature? What does this treaty dictate in the current terms? Has it been amended
Yes,
or nullified?
it is a fact. Yeah, because the thing is that the moon is not a moon. I'm not okay. I know it looks like a moon, but of course, a normal moon, like what astronomers call a celestial body, actually spins. So you see all sides of it. But this moon, I mean, I'll call it a moon even though it isn't. You can only see the near side of it while it spins, around the Earth. So we and other people in the SSP, not just ours, but of other countries, call it Lunar Operations Commands. So we accept that it is actually a spaceship that was brought to Earth by the reptilians. So it looks like a moon on the outside, because it's like the surface is covered in rocks and craters, but on the inside, it's actually got mechanisms, mechanics, like a machine. Yeah, so I mean, we know that the moon didn't belong to us, but thankfully, we weren't so overbearing that we definitely weren't going to go to war with everyone and try and claim the moon for us. We were more than happy just to move in to the dark side of the moon at the top bit, near the moon's North Pole, in an area called LOC-1, which is like Lunar Operations Command 1. So, we don't mind, and we're actually pleased that other areas of the moon are still occupied, by other space programs and also ET bases. I mean, now the ETs got there well before we did, so we wouldn't have a right to tell them to get lost and go somewhere else because it's their home. Do you
Oh,
know about the pyramid on
oh, what?
Mars? No, on also no, I mean on also the pyramid on the moon.
You mean like a monolith? There's a monolith on the moon.
No, an actual pyramid that actually looks like the Great Pyramid in Giza in Egypt. There's one on the moon, and also there's one that looks very similar on Mars. Would you like me to tell you the history of those and what they were built for?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, like in Egyptian mythology, where the Egyptian god Set, also known as Sutek, he was the baddie, and he was like equivalent of Satan. And he killed his brother and chopped him up in like to 13 pieces. So he got punished for that. So the Orions, they actually decided to put him in this prison, and they didn't even want him on Earth. They wanted him, out of the way. So they decided, because obviously Egyptian gods know a great deal about pyramids, they decided to build a pyramid on our moon as a prison for Set. So they dragged him up there and locked him in there, and they kept him there for I'm not actually quite sure how long, certainly for thousands of years, and as a temporary measure. And then they decided that as a permanent measure that they were going to imprison him on Mars. So they then built a pyramid on Mars that looked the same as the one on the moon and looked the same as the one out of the three at Giza in Egypt. And then they then transported and locked him in permanently in the pyramid on Mars. And, being a Doctor Who fanatic, like I said earlier, there's actually a whole story about Sutek being imprisoned on this pyramid on Mars, trying to escape and get back to Earth. And it's actually, called, the Pyramids of Mars. And you won't be surprised to hear it's actually one of my all-time favourite stories. So anyone who hasn't seen it, try and see it, because it's actually based, on facts.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, so let's go on to the next question. Okay, so we had a guest on the show talk about Martian settlements. So this particular guest stated that the Prussian elites got access to stargates in Prussia in the 1850s and started settling Mars. So according to Peter the Insider, he stated that there are cyborgs from our future from the year 2400 that traveled back in time to 1600 and settled Mars. So when the Germans showed up, they were not getting along with these cyborgs. So in the year 1900, there was a cobalt bomb that destroyed the environment on Mars. And that's when the Germans started coming back on Mars in the 1940s. The environment was very harsh. So what do you think of this? Do you agree with it? And yeah, what's your thoughts on
Yes,
that?
yeah, it is actually true. But the thing is that there is a problem anyway with the Martian planet, the surface, because as we all know, it's sort of a reddish orangish sort of color, and it's like all desert. And there's evidence to show that one time there was a nuclear war on Mars that made it look like that, and that's why it still looks like that. But even so, even if there wasn't ever a nuclear war on Mars and it looked different to the way it looks now, we would still have been interested in moving there and having a permanent base there. And also, I'm pretty sure that we still would have decided to live underground because I mean it's normal for a military SSP base anywhere, to be underground, to make them more, secret from the general public. I mean, that's
Okay.
why they're called DUMBs, aren't they? Deep underground military bases. So we use that expression dumb as well, even though I think that the actual name was coined, by the Americans. We like it too.
Oh wow. Okay. Let's go on here. So, the surface of Jupiter. I had one lady. She remote viewed Jupiter, and what she saw was that it's not a gas giant. There's a surface there, and it's very toxic. But there's a facility there where uh, they're testing. Basically, they're testing weapons. In the past, Jupiter used to be like a giant grassland planet with these llama-like creatures, and then different planetary corporations set up shop there to do like weapons testing, and eventually they even open up a portal. That's what the hole and the giant hurricane thing is, a portal. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that is true. But we're not personally involved in it. But yeah, we get to hear, what's going on elsewhere, because we're very interested. And also we're interested in a nice way, because we really love our astronomy and, astrophysics. And, we're interested also in astrology because, we never stopped being interested in occult subjects.
Oh wow. So can we talk about the German homeworld? Have you ever been there? Do you know what I'm even talking about? And yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
It depends what you mean by homeworld. Because
Well,
obviously, because homeworld would actually be Germany and Europe, because that's where it all started. So, strictly speaking, in my definition, homeworld would be planet Earth in Germany, in Europe, which obviously we're not, of course, now involved with Germany and Europe, but we've still got a spiritual and historic attachment with that country, and also the countries that were part of the Allied Empire, such as Austria. But our beginnings in the secret space program, in my opinion, is Antarctica, base 211, because that was our beginnings, our first base on planet Earth. So homeworld to me is planet Earth because it's only after we got settled in our Antarctica we then decided to go to the moon. But I mean, we know the moon doesn't belong just to us, as like I've said. And then, we know that Mars, only our base belongs to us, and not the whole planet.
oh
So,
wow.
so that is my definition of home world.
So Daryl James mentioned in Nachtwaffen, after you served, you would be given an opportunity to go to the German homeworld. It looks basically like Germany, but yeah, it's very difficult to even get approved to go there. You have to be actual German descent, and he was not German descent. I think he said he's Welsh, is what I think he told me. But he was able to got approval for that. So I don't know if you know anything about this world that he's talking about, but if not, we can.
Well, I already know that we also exist in alternate realities and parallel realities, universes too. Like the one I know about that I haven't been to, where Germany won World War Two. And the reason Germany won in the alternative reality, universe, is because we didn't make the mistakes that we made in this one. We wasted a lot of time and money here. And, here, of course, we made a mistake invading Russia because we hadn't realised how cold it was there. And we weren't like dressed for it, and we couldn't cope with the weather. So that made us, weak. So that was one of the reasons where it went wrong as well. And when people say, "Well, hang on a minute, if you couldn't cope with Russia, how do you cope with Antarctica?" But as you and I know, Antarctica underground isn't cold. Because of course people can't get their head around that. Well, Antarctica, is like the coldest place on the planet. And you're saying you couldn't cope with Russia. How could you cope, with Antarctica that's even colder? So then, I have to explain to them. So they're really surprised when I'm saying to them Antarctica is not cold, only cold, above ground.
Well, because Peter the Insider, he has mentioned that in this other alternate reality, well, in this reality, the Nordics were having these orgies with high level SS, and it was the Nordics who gave them the idea of these racist philosophies. So in this other reality, the Nordics lost interest in the high command SS. And as a result, the Germans embraced the Jews and they allowed them to handle their money. And as a result, they won the war. So they didn't launch a nuclear bomb on the United States. They invaded, and the United States was split in two. The East Coast was controlled by the American Reich, and the West was the Japanese Empire. And Donald Trump is a high level Nazi in that reality. He's the governor, and I mean we can go more into that, but Hitler, he actually embraced Tesla and gave him an unlimited budget, so they had free energy technology. He also had re-aging tech, so Hitler is still alive over in that other reality, and
Yeah.
he personally killed Paul Serene, the head of Monarch Solutions. So Monarch's responsible for pretty much everything bad on this, most of everything that's bad on this planet. But anyway, I'm digressing here. Unless you want to comment, have you actually been there? Are you familiar? There's other alternate
No,
reality that I'm
I
talking about.
haven't been. I and my colleagues who haven't been, just make sure that, we keep up to date with the news about what's going on out there.
Okay, well, let's move on here because I know we should probably wrap this up soon. I think I'm getting a little tired, and maybe you are too. But did you serve in Nachtwaffen? And if not, do you know anything about Nachtwaffen you could share with us?
Well, I wasn't involved, during the Third Reich with it at all, because as Reinhard Heydrich, I wasn't on the secret space program. I was involved with the police, the intelligence service, Gestapo, and I was on that side. So it's like this time round, I wanted to be involved with the SSP. So as far as I'm concerned, I am involved with the Dark Fleet by the fact that I'm the designer of our UFOs. So I don't actually fly around inside them, but as you can imagine, I'm very proud of myself that I invented Clanax that they're manufactured from, and I designed, the Hanabu, as in what it was going to look like. And I actually, got the small greys to be our pilots, using clean energy, because telepathy and handpads aren't using, fossil fuels, because of course fossil fuels are bad. And now, lots of people think that. Like for instance, why recently electric cars have been built and sold for the general public, because fossil fuels are like bad news. And like people have got a boiler at home, like in new homes, um, they're building them with hydrogen boilers, not gas central heating. So now, everyone wants to move away from fossil fuels.
Yeah, during the Germans during World War II had access to, I guess they were converting shale into oil, and they were doing it in a cheap and efficient manner. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we could produce electricity if they wasn't being suppressed. But yeah, let's go to this. So how about here's Ashton's asking about the Zeta Reticuli Grays. Do they still handle a lot of the ET science liaison advisor roles, or is it mostly from the German and the ICC?
Well, the way we use them is they're like I said, they're the pilots of our Hannibal UFOs. We've got quite a lot of them. So every UFO takes 6 of them to pilot. And the other role that we've got them working for us in is helping to teach our citizens telepathy and remote viewing. So we've got them like in a teaching role. And we've also got one actually working for us, maintaining and upkeeping our museum at Antarctica Base 211. So he's what humans would call in a normal museum a curator. So
Oh
he's
wow.
actually in that role. So he actually is allowed to live inside the museum. Yeah, like rent free. So so he gets to live in the museum for free, and so to thank us for us looking after him, he like looks after us by maintaining and running our museum. So if anyone wants to have a wander around our museum, he's the one who lets them in and shows them around.
Yeah, wow. Okay, let's go to the next question here. Are you familiar with the Sakar Draco subspace bubble outside of Jupiter? Have you ever encountered a Royal Whitey, a 14-foot Sakar? Yeah, in the Warrior scientist
Oh
cast.
no, we're not involved with it. The only things that we're involved in are everything that I've already mentioned, tonight. So anything else I might have heard of, but we've got no involvement in. I mean, we're just interested in learning it. So to improve our education of projects we're not involved in, we take a lot of pleasure in watching YouTube, where other people are interviewed. And we love our documentaries too. So James, we watch your show a lot, and also the other people, we watch their shows too. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention your rivals.
Oh wow! So I'm surprised they even have access to the internet because in the breakaway they tell people that planet Earth was destroyed in a cobalt bomb in the 1950s. So I guess maybe they're not saying that down in Antarctica. I guess obviously.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, also
Okay.
because I also spend a lot of time in London. So,
Okay.
I've got Wi-Fi at my house, and also I've got Wi-Fi at the London base too. So we've actually got unlimited Wi-Fi, so I can actually watch something or listen to something, day and night. And it's even better if it's related to my work. Of course, I'm allowed to also use it for personal use because, like for instance, my meal breaks. If I want to listen to some music, then of course I'm allowed to do that.
Awesome. So, can you comment about this question? Can you confirm the Noct, Waff, and Regier logos insignias have the Hanapu Do or the Hanapu 3 figure on it? Do you know what we're talking about? Noct, Waff, and Regier.
Mm. Well, it depends on you know what our latest Hanabu design was, because I see in the beginning there was just the Hanabu one, so the Hanabu one would be on the logo because there wasn't a two or three. So when the two was invented, we were of course very proud of it. So then the two would go on the logo. And then when the three was invented, of course, then we scrapped the logo and then put a three on it. So all of those are correct. Because, of course, we want to show off our latest designs.
Oh wow, maybe we can have you put some artwork together, and we can have you come back on here and do another presentation for us on the different craft. And if you get approval to
Yeah,
do that, I would love for that.
yeah, sure, yes.
Okay, we're
Okay.
down to two more questions. What do you know about base two Q552 Nelson, British Columbia, that Michael Prince talks about? I think that's connected to
Uh,
Project IBIS.
no, well, we've got no involvement with the only involvement we've got with America are the two bases that I mentioned, one in New York City and one in Houston, Texas. For
Okay.
now, we've actually promised the American government, including, of course, the military and SSP, that we will keep our nose out of what they're doing, providing they do the same to us.
Okay. Can you Oh, I'm sorry. That's not that one. This one. Can you comment about RH negative bloodlines? What do you know about that? I
Yes,
can see.
I'm pleased you asked me that because it's given me an opportunity to mention myself because I'm AB negative, and that is a very, very rare blood group on Earth. And when I last checked out how rare it is, so I actually checked it out 2 years ago, and my research told me that 0.4% of the world's population are AB negative. So that's even less than 0.5%. And as you know, James, is that because of course I've been following you and your friends who are on the Montauk project, is that it was AB negative humans who were needed to operate, the looking glass. So of course AB negative is regarded as a very special blood group because it's rare and because it's a superior blood group because it has more DNA than all of the other blood groups. And also, it's a superior blood group because, say, if I was unfortunate enough to be in an accident and I lost a lot of blood and I needed a blood transfusion to save my life, I could have blood from any other blood group, A or B or O, either negative or positive, and my body would accept it. Yet if you were dying and needed a transfusion, you couldn't have my blood group. So that's why an AB negative blood group is also superior, because we can actually have any blood group if we needed to save our life, if we'd lost a lot of blood and would die without it. But the
Oh wow.
negative side of it is during pregnancy, because if an AB negative lady got pregnant and her husband or partner was another blood group that was like a positive blood group, while she can still get pregnant, she'd get rather ill and would feel the whole time like she's got flu. And it would actually make the baby feel ill. So she'd actually need to go to a hospital to have this injection, and it's called an anti-D injection. I mean, I don't know enough to actually tell you what's in it, but the minute she has the injection, straight away she feels well again. So it neutralizes the problem with blood group incompatibility. And my understanding is that after, she gives birth, say she gets pregnant again from a man who again is an incompatible blood group, because it's still in her body, she won't again the second time need to go down to the hospital to have another anti-D injection. Once it's done for life.
Oh wow. We could probably spend a lot more time on the different blood types. Maybe we could save that for another show.
Yeah,
Perhaps
sure.
you could put a presentation together for us. Yeah, because I know Ashton was asked about Kruger. I just don't. I think we're going to skip all that for now. I mean, well, I'll just quickly. Are you aware of Kruger? I mean, did they have
Yeah, but a
facility down
lot of
there?
it I learned from you, from listening to your guests on your show. I mean, I've
Okay.
heard of it, but to actually listen and watch a podcast by people who are actually involved is pretty exciting for me and for my colleagues.
Thank you. Annie Maddie says AB is a naturally evolved human bloodline to breed with O, which is Anunnaki. Anunnaki, I'm O negative, by the way. Anunnaki developed RHD protein as a bridge to breed with humans. Negative is minus RHD slash D. So thank you for that. All right. So shall we call it? Call it a day?
Yeah, I'm happy to go, because we've been on now. I mean, the clock's actually on my phone. It says 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 20 seconds.
All right. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, Commander Anu. Thank you for coming on here today. Thank you, listeners, to the show. I appreciate your support. Somebody sent me some money through Zelle. I appreciate that. I have no way to contact you to thank you, but I do. I'm thanking you now. Yeah, because YouTube has demonetized me, so I should be. I went back and I actually calculated I should be making $1,000 a month. So and other people copy my videos. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not really worried about the money. I'm not doing this for that. I'm doing this because we have to elevate humanity. And anyway, I appreciate whatever you, Ronnie. Yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. So there you go. I appreciate that. Anyway, so I guess we'll leave it at that. Subscribe, and I'll see you later. And if you want, Commander Anu, you can stay on if you want. I'm going to just play the conclusion and let's call it. Thank you all. See you later.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, I got it. Actually,
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
See you all later. And please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.